Hey everyone, Vinny D'Agostino here. Thanks for listening to episode 5, season 1 of Vinny's Proof of Work podcast. Really excited about this show. My microphone, I messed up. I clicked on something about 7 minutes into this podcast. So you're going to hear my microphone switch to the camera mic instead of the condenser mic. So my sound quality for my mic is going to be not so great. Apologies for that. Noob mistake. It won't happen again. Special thanks to Paul Virzi and Iso, producer of the Shuli Show, for joining me. This show is a Bitcoin for Beginners show that should be interesting for people that have been thinking about Bitcoin and want to learn a little bit more about how it works, and what it is. Although there's much more to discuss, I think this is a good show to pique some interest, hopefully. Make sure you check out Paul Virzi Effect podcast. Links will be in the description, as well as check out Paul live on tour. He'll be at February 18th, Friday, at the Funny Bone Comedy Club and Restaurant in Syracuse, New York. And then he's going to be doing 2 shows, February 19th at the Funny Bone as well in Syracuse. And then he heads over to Pittsburgh on February 24th. So check out paulvirzi.com for tickets and information, and definitely check him out live. He's hysterical. Thank you, Iso. And be sure to check out the Shuli Show and the new podcast they started, which is Thanks for Coming Out. Links will also be in the description for both YouTube, Spotify, etc. So I hope you enjoy this one. Make sure to like and subscribe if you do. And thanks again for all the support, and take care, everybody.
I'm sitting over here, and I'm fucking thinking, and I had a flash of my mind. Here you are, you can't get your money from Larry, and you're not going to. I hate to fucking disillusion you. This cocksucker,
Hey.
what kind of a fucking guy? He couldn't wait for John to die to take the car.
So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So join, started federal, grabbed a Colombo. See proof of work, I made it legible. Move out to cyber, was keeping crimes off of the web for you. Started a special group, yeah, I went private. Fell in love with Bitcoin and started mining. That's when I started shining. Getting green, dropping gems. Rocking the comic club, got them sent. They laugh, popping limbs. Give them life, here's the boost. Gotta put in the work, here's the proof. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So here's the proof, huh? Give the story because it's better than the truth, huh? Allegories will keep between me and you, huh? We get coins, never scraps. See this a Bitcoin getting cat. So join, get it back.
Don't fucking talk to you next time! You're gonna kill me! Please! Oh, you worry about them, not us? You're gonna kill me!
All right, a little bit intense, I know.
Dude, that is the sickest. That is the sickest fucking intro to any podcast I've ever done. I'm waiting for a documentary to start, dude. You gotta be a filmmaker. That was insane.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
Wait, let me ask you a
good.
question. Did the guy get shot at the end? Or
No, so I added in the sound effect of the shooting to end the clip. Those guys robbed the social club owned by the Colombo family, got caught within like 6 hours. The Colombo family doesn't have to worry about search warrants and Fourth Amendment rights. They tracked these guys down. They dragged them inside the club to interrogate them. And my source was one of the owners, so he was recording the whole time. So the whole day, I was following the source around, taking photos and videos while he's with them and bringing them back to the club. So after this was all done, I got the tape. They ended up. Only reason they didn't shoot him, they had guns. There's a part where he puts the gun in his mouth and he's yelling at him. They said, who knows you're here? Who knows you're here? And the kid said, my mom knows I'm here. And they're like, bullshit. And they take the kid's phone out. And because there was a text message to his mom that said, like, if something happens, I went to the Party Palace, which was the name of the club. And
wow.
So they all went in the back. And that gave my source the opportunity to say, if we kill him, we're stuck. There's no way they're not going to know we did this. He wrote his mom, and they were like, all right, fine. So they went out and told the guys, get us our fucking money back, like in the next 12 hours, or you're dead. And they said whatever they needed to say to get out of there, and they let him go. And then those guys ran to the FBI the next day, not realizing we had the tape, and they gave us some bullshit story about how it happened. Meanwhile, I knew what happened because I heard the whole thing.
Wow.
So, yeah, but they luckily the kid texted his mom, because that's probably the only thing that saved his life that day.
Holy shit, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, those kids were nuts, and they ended up we put them in protective custody, and they ended up running a giant bill up. You wouldn't believe the shit people do, like getting their girlfriend's perms in the gift shop at the Marriott. I'm like, you're like running from the mob, and you're like banging out bureau credit cards, committing crimes while on the run.
That's fucking great.
Nuts. So yeah, thank you guys for coming in, and I'm been dying to do this show for a long while now, because you guys know that I'm a Bitcoin enthusiast, and I got into it many years ago, and it's exciting for me to be able to see other people start talking about it and getting interest in it. And I know there is a lot of people that want to know more about it, but are scared to, because it's kind of confusing and they don't know where to start. So this episode is kind of a Bitcoin for beginners, where we're going to talk a little bit about what it is. And believe me, it could take years to fully wrap your mind around like what it is and how it all works. But we're going to talk a little bit about like what it is, so you can understand why it's important. And then what I'd like to do is, while you guys are on the show, you guys are going to set up wallets on your phone. I'm going to walk you through it. For the people watching at home, I cut some video of my phone doing the same thing that your phone's basically going to be doing, so they could follow along. And then we're going to send out some Bitcoin from me to you while on the show, so you can see how it looks, what it looks like when you get it. And then we'll have one or both of you send a little piece to someone else, so you get the idea of what it is to transfer it. And then I think that usually helps people understand how to self-custody your Bitcoin and why that's so important. Meaning, the big thing about Bitcoin is it puts a lot of responsibility on the person carrying it, because there is no 1-800-Bitcoin number to call, like if you lose it. You fuck up with your MasterCard, you could pick up the phone and say, I lost my I wasn't at Walmart. That's not me. And they'll refund your money. And Bitcoin is a fickle bitch. There's only life lessons with Bitcoin. If you screw up, and Iso, I know you had a story related there. Maybe you want to start there with your first experience into Bitcoin. What happened?
Yeah, it was, I believe it was 2014. And, Bitcoin. So I said, all right. Didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I bought $40 worth. And I forget, it was some bit exchange or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's why we're here. I didn't know anything about Bitcoin or how it worked at all. So I bought it. I know I bought it through PayPal, and then I kind of just forgot about it. And it was like a year ago. I remember I had it, and I went and I looked it up. I actually found the receipt and everything, but that bit exchange no longer exists. And as you were explaining to me before, I never moved it to a wallet or something like that.
Yeah.
So where is it? Where's that $40 of Bitcoin?
Yeah. It's a donation to the rest of the world. When people lose their access to their Bitcoin, it literally, that Bitcoin is gone forever. And so the way the community looks at it is, thank you for your donation, like Hunger Games, because that means the value, the scarcity just went up because there's less of it. So Paul, when did you first hear the word Bitcoin, and what do you kind of know about it? What's your general understanding about it?
The first I ever heard about Bitcoin, I was in a green room in Albany, and Rich Voss came in, and he started talking about, hey man, like I'm thinking about like this Bitcoin thing. It's not that expensive right now, but I think it's going to do this. And in my mind, I was just kind of asking questions like, what is that? Like, what do you? And he was just, basically talking about how it's online, like digital, like
right.
And I'm about to perform, and I'm like, this guy's out of his fucking mind. Like that's like my first, like, before it really started to hit the mainstream, and before people started to make money. And then now, fast forward now, and by the way, the podcast that I did with you, Vin, on the Virzi Effect, so many people reached out, including my family members, I had my immediate family members or my family going, wow, I never really, because of that podcast, people started to buy Bitcoin.
That's awesome.
And going, hey man, I'm going to start small. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It does scare me though to know, because I'm not the most tech savvy person.
Yeah.
So it's like, certain things I had to learn, right? In comedy, I had to learn how to do it with podcasting. I had to learn the cameras and the microphones and building a studio. I had to learn that shit. But when it comes to this shit, I get scared knowing, like, let's say I put 5-10 grand into Bitcoin.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's not in the right wallet and it's gone. Like, that's going to really fucking fuck me up.
That's the biggest, one of the biggest obstacles, because it's not forgiving. Like I said, there people like banks and people like credit cards, because part of the reason we get fucked so hard by all those institutions is what they're offering you in exchange is some sort of like customer service, right? There's things that can be there as a safety net to your screw ups. If you lose a card, more than likely, I don't know anyone who's lost a card and had to pay for the fraudulent charges. That doesn't happen anymore. Like, the companies will always eat that. But with that, there are strings attached, which are those fees that they charge us, which is they can deny you the transactions if they don't want to you to actually do whatever it is. They don't want your credit card to be used for whatever service it might be. They can just deny that. And for where we are right now, from a societal perspective, it's really scary, because part of the benefit of Bitcoin is its decentralized nature. So let's start from the beginning. We all think we understand how money works. I learned that I did not understand how money works until I started thinking about how Bitcoin works, and then the comparisons came about. But the whole idea of money is that you have this piece of paper in your wallet that you go to a store and it says $10 on it, and everyone understands that the guy accepting it knows that that's backed up by something. We don't really know what anymore, but it's backed up by something, and that they can go use that $10 and give it to someone else and buy the same amount of goods or whatever, a proportionate amount of goods for that thing. As you guys know, right, we used to be on the gold standard, right, up until, what was it, the 70s? We're on the gold standard, where every bill that was given was backed up by a piece of gold, and that was just because this is way more convenient. Bills, no one wants to carry around gold bullion and be like, Paul, I'm going to buy an egg sandwich, and like scrape off some gold bullion in your hand, and then you got to put it in a Ziploc. Like,
yeah.
So they quickly realized we have to use something that is a more convenient form of that, but that also people can trust. And in the beginning, in the early days, people didn't want to move to this standard because it was like, this is just a piece of paper. Like, this has no inherent value. Well, the government said, no, it's backed by the gold standard, which actually worked for a long while. And then the government, like they do with everything, eventually said, yeah, you know what? We're not going to be backed by gold anymore. You're just going to have to be backed by us. It has value because we're telling you it has fucking value.
Yeah.
And part of that is when you become a government and you become a superpower and you have a military and a police force and all these things to enforce that, it does sort of work, because how it has value is that if somebody robs a bank, the FBI is going to come after you. If somebody steals money, the police department goes. So it's a way, they have a way to protect this and force everybody to use it. Where the problems come along is that, like almost everything the government touches, they turn to shit. So what does the government do? They start fucking with our money. They start printing money like it's toilet paper, right? Look at what happened when the pandemic started. First we had Trump with the fucking printing machine, and then Biden comes in and he's like, oh yeah, hold my beer. And then he's fucking double printing the money. And everyone's like, inflation's going to happen. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. Here we are at like 7% inflation. Why that's a problem, why that's theft, is because that means the money that Paul and Iso you have in your savings account has just lost value through no fault of your own. Like let's say you had $5,000 sitting in there. It doesn't have the buying power anymore because of their decision to print more. What you own becomes less valuable. And we had no vote over this, and we had no say over this. And if you look at the inflation over the last 30 years since we went up the gold standard, it's insane. It's continuing to rise out of control. It's why a Big Mac cost 50 cents in the 70s and costs like $8.50 now. If you were to buy it today. So how Bitcoin fixes all of this is it takes the government out of the money, which is which I was laughed at when we used to talk about this when I was at the FBI and I used to go speak to banks about this new thing called Bitcoin. This was in 2012. They used to just laugh about it. It was a fucking joke, you know, and given it was worth like a couple bucks at the time. And it was, you know, it was like hacker money and blah, blah, blah. The reason why Bitcoin, what I saw in Bitcoin way back then that turned me, I went from a skeptic of it to a believer, was it solves these problems like taking the government out of it. So the first thing about Bitcoin that's important is it's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be made, right? The program is written in a way that is deflationary, meaning over time, less and less Bitcoin get released. And that means what you own is going to go up in value, not less, almost like programmatically. It's just, the government can't step in and say, COVID 2022 just came out. We're going to print another 2 million more Bitcoin because we just need to stimulate the economy. I like that fact, and so do a lot of other economists, because it allows us to know that if I save, it encourages saving. If I save Bitcoin and I hold Bitcoin, that in all likelihood it's going to continue to go up to value over time. The other thing that attracted me to it that's important is that it takes the middleman out of it. So if I use a credit card and I go to the store and I swipe my credit card, it's got to go through Chase or whomever to vouch for me with my credit, and then tell the vendor, oh yeah, he's good for it, we'll reimburse you, and then and that transaction happens. With Bitcoin, it's A to B. If I send Paul money, there's no other person that has to be involved in that to authorize it, and there's no other person on the planet that can stop it. And that's the fucking crazy part. So you look at what's going on with the GoFundMe. You guys are aware of that, right? With the truckers.
Oh yeah.
So Paul, were you aware that they GoFundMe was like, yeah, we're just going to keep your money?
No, I did not know that.
So we all know the trucker things going on in Canada, the protests and everything, and they raised like $8 million through GoFundMe. And then GoFundMe was like, hey, how about go fuck yourself? We're giving your money. Because they decided that cause violated their terms of use.
Wow.
Right? Which means that those people are shit out of luck. Now, the AG's office in Florida is looking into it to see if this is a crime. But it really highlights the point, which is they have the ability to deny you service. So if tomorrow Stop and Shop decides that your politics are not aligned with theirs, and they say we will no longer be accepting charge from certain people that are on this list, guess what happens? You go to the store and you can't buy, you know, a can of soup because they're like, sorry, it's our business decision not to work with people that have your type of politics. That's a scary thought. And that was something that was crazy 10 years ago. And we have numerous examples of it happening now.
Yeah, that's wild. But let me ask you this question. Can your Bitcoin be stolen?
Yeah. So how it can happen is it can't be stolen or seized unless you fuck up something. And I'll explain why that is. So when you set up a Bitcoin wallet, which we're going to do in a minute here, on your phone, it's going to generate an address for you that's like a receiving address. Nobody in the world knows that receiving address is connected to you except for you, because it doesn't register with anything. And it's not like on an email, when you register an email on gmail.com, they know who you are because you're registering. They know all sorts of things about you because of that. When you create a Bitcoin address, it gets pulled out of like a formula, basically. The formula is random. And so you get an address. And when I send that to you, that coin will be sitting on your phone. Now, if you lose your phone and it's unlocked and you don't have any protections in place, theoretically, someone could just pick up your phone and send it, and you'll never be able to get that back. How the government seizes it, right? I did an episode a few days ago on the $4.5 billion Bitcoin seizure from those people that stole it from an exchange. How they seized that was the person held essentially their wallet file on Google Drive, and the FBI got to it. And they seized that Google Drive. They had weak encryption on it. They cracked the encryption on the file, not on Bitcoin, and they stole it. How you can't hack Bitcoin is, I can't say I know Paul's address. Like, I could announce to the world and give you my Bitcoin addresses I own with all the value in it. I could literally put those addresses out there and say, come and get me. The world could try to hack me, and it is impossible for that to happen. The Bitcoin protocol is designed in such a way that it's impenetrable. Now, you know, people talk about quantum computing and things on the road, theoretical possibility, but the defenses around the Bitcoin network when you hear about all that electricity all that electricity is being used to defend the network. That's why I like Bitcoin over anything else, because other networks that say, oh, we're much more efficient. Well, I don't want efficiency when it comes to security. Like, I don't want, if I'm going to war and you say you have 2 tanks, one is fucking got the EPA standard of approval. It's got that little green button on the dash of the tank. And the other one is an old school World War II battle-tested tank. I'm taking the battle-tested tank. I don't want the efficient tank that, oh, by the way, the armor is only this thin because, it makes it lighter and it gets better gas miles per gallon.
Right.
So the Bitcoin network uses that electricity basically in those computers to defend it. So if someone tries to hack it, there's never been a hack of a single wallet in the history of Bitcoin, and there never will be because of the security that's based around it. That's something that's important too, because if you're putting your life savings into something, I want to know I could sleep at night knowing that I'm not going to wake up and someone's going to hack the Bitcoin. Those people who had that 4.5 billion hacked an exchange, and then the exchange had all those wallets with those called private keys, and they stole all those keys, and then they unlocked the Bitcoin. When you have the private keys, whoever has the private keys to the wallet owns the Bitcoin basically, and so you have to protect those private keys. So this is going to make more sense as we set up your wallets now. So the best way to walk this through is if you actually do it. So on your phones, you guys have iPhones, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put up a video, and then you guys are going to, on your phone, download an app called, let's see, where the fuck is it? Is it BlockFi? I had to find an app that's also popular on the Android. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong phone, I think. Blockchain. Okay, the icon looks like, I'll hold it up to the camera here. It's blue. It looks like a
lion, like a lion head.
Yeah, a little lion. Okay.
Can you guys see my thing?
Wait, I got this.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. This looks
wait. Blockchain. Yeah, it's like a sideways square.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Now that. Okay, and I'm going to play a video that actually has the same thing you're going to be doing. So you're going to create an account with them. Let's see, add a source. Here we go. I'm going to just put this on loop. All right.
Wait, it's saying I need an Apple ID?
Probably to download it, because you have an iPhone, so they usually make you authenticate who you are.
Okay. Let me do this here. You could, all right, there we go. Hold on.
Creating an account here.
Yeah, so when you create an account, it's going to ask for like your name and all that shit. Now, keep in mind, that's just you creating an account with this wallet company, which is fine. There's no one to register your Bitcoin account with, and they give you this warning. I'm going to pause my screen when you start creating it. It says, like, by the way, we don't have access to your coin, and we can't get access, and if you lose your access, basically don't call us, you're shit out of luck, because that's how wallets self-custody works. That's how wallets work, where you're responsible for what's in there. They're just giving you the program to hold it.
Right.
All right, so I'm getting this. I just got into my. I just got in. All right.
Okay. Did you guys see this thing? I'm going to zoom in on it. If you look at that video, I think I zoom in on it here. There we go. Did you get this message that says, I understand that blockchain.com never stores passwords and therefore cannot recover or restore your password. If it loses access to my wallet, I must use secret private key recovery phrase to access my funds. It's a little complicated if you don't understand what they're saying, but what they're saying there is, this is not like a bank account where, like, if you lose access to this thing, you lose your phone. There's nothing they can do. That secret phrase they're talking about is what I'm going to walk you guys through backing up today, so that you have ultimate control over your wallet, no matter where you are in the country, in the world, at any time. As long as you have access to the internet, you'd be able to recover your Bitcoin from Istanbul from a phone, as long as you keep this recovery phrase I'm going to show you how to do.
I didn't get that message yet, so if you want to go first, dude, I'm right
It was
behind you.
after. It was after. It might be different because I'm on an Android, so it might be different. But it was for me. It looks like when I had to put in my name and email address, stuff to like register the wallet or whatever. That's where that popped up. But tell me when the screen that looks like it's going to ask you to verify your email, right? It sent you an email. You probably have to verify it.
Mine says verified device. Hold on.
Okay. Then you might not need to send an email then. When you get to this screen, I'll pause it. You should be good.
Let me see. So did they?
So you at that spot?
I think I'm logged in. I verified my email and everything.
Okay.
It's asking me to select a cryptocurrency now.
Perfect. Paul, you let us know when you get to that spot.
Okay. Send again. Hold on. Open an email app. Wait, do I gotta log into something here?
When you open the app, it's gonna.
This is where. Hold on. Let me get out of here real quick and show. So this is where I'm at now. Where it says.
Does it say sign in?
It says verified device. If you have an account registered with this email address, you will receive an email with a link to the.
Okay. Did you put in like your email address or like?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Then you should be able to log in either through your fingerprint or a password that did you just set up a password?
Yep.
Okay. So then you have an account now. Yes. You have to log in. This is just logging into the app. A lot of these apps do this. Especially on iPhone. I have one on my Android that doesn't bother you with this shit, which I like. But I couldn't find one on the iPhone that didn't bother you with the login.
All right, so let me see. Login. All right, let me log in. Just Paul.Virzi. Oh, actually, I probably shouldn't say that.
Yeah. It's at AOL, everybody. You've got an AOL.
It's a Yahoo account. Now it says it says it's going back to this thing. Send again. Open. Okay. It says open app and email.
Yeah, it's trying to send you an email to verify. So open up your email and just click, it's got an email that says, did you just register this account? Click yes. And then you should be able to get in.
Okay.
Check your Hotmail.
I got a receipt. I just got a receipt. This is so weird. Okay, hold on. Boy, Hotmail is really ancient.
Still have mine.
YouTube, Apple. I'm going to go to this app here. Blockchain. I'm going to go back.
You didn't get an email? They didn't send
Mine says buy crypto now. Is that?
Okay, yeah, I think you're good now, right? Iso, is that what you saw?
It was asking me to buy or select a crypto.
Yeah, if you X out of the buy crypto or cancel or whatever you have a little X you can click on.
Now I'm at the home screen.
Does your home screen look like mine, Iso, the one that's on the video right here?
No, I think it's on your email right now. This is what I got going on.
Okay, what are your options to select there? I can't really see.
Home, prices, buy, sell, and activity.
Okay, just go to home.
Yeah, then it says buy crypto, receive, or deposit.
Perfect. You're right where you need to be. Paul, what is your screen showing?
Mine. I think mine says get started. Okay. Create your PIN.
Yeah,
I had to do all that. It's a 4-digit number.
Yep.
But anything I want, like
anything you want. Yeah, yep. That's not going to be that important.
Okay.
Should be in after that, I think.
All right, now I did that. Now I'm done. Blockchain would like to send notifications. Allow or don't allow?
Sure, up to you. Yeah, I'd allow it. Like if I send you coin, you'll see it pop up.
All right, now it says check my inbox or didn't get the email. All right, so check my inbox. And yep, I got it.
Perfect.
All right, yes, I confirm this is my email. So hit that. All right,
now you should be in.
Now it brought me back. It says I'm verified in.
Nice.
And now it's giving me the option to open. So should I just open?
Yep.
Okay. Next. Buy crypto, and the first one says Bitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just close. You could get rid of that. You don't have to buy anything.
Okay. And then it says welcome back, and now I'm on the buy today thing.
Awesome. All right. So do you have like a home button somewhere on the screen, like for the app?
Should be bottom left, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Click on that.
I think I'm on that.
Perfect. Okay. So your screen looks like my video now. Oh, it said buy crypto. Okay. So receive crypto. Okay. So go to receive crypto.
Okay.
Wait, mine says buy crypto, and then it says receive. This is what I have.
Does it say receive?
It said, yeah, when I click on the home, buy crypto today, and then it says receive. But when I click on receive, hold on. Then it goes to this. It gives me options.
Perfect. Yep. So click on Bitcoin, the top one.
Now I have two. One says private key wallet. The other says trading account.
Private key wallet.
Okay. All right. So now I'm here.
Perfect. So see that code and you see my screen? Now that code is your public receiving address. It's literally generated through an algorithm, which means the only one in the world that knows right now that those numbers are connected to you guys, and your numbers are different, of course, is you. Now you can show it because it's public, and no one could do anything bad with it. In fact, the only thing they could do with it is look up your balance or send you coin.
Right.
Which means like if you take those numbers below that QR code, and those numbers are your address, the gobbledygook. You can go to online and look up on it's called the Bitcoin blockchain, which is the ledger that keeps track of every transaction in the history of Bitcoin. It's completely transparent from the first Bitcoin ever created and spent to the last, up to the second. You can view it. Unlike what happens with the government, where there's like spending all over and no one knows where the fuck anything's going, the ledger is anyone can look at it, and the difference is that it's pseudo anonymous, meaning if I send you, Paul, $1 million today, someone could see on the blockchain that person A, moved $1 million to person B, and then you took 200 and moved it to Iso. But what they can't know is who the hell is behind it.
Right.
Because there's no names attached. There's no registration. And so if the government wants to know who you are, it makes it a lot more difficult, because depending on where that Bitcoin came from, they'd have to really trace it through. And now the way they could find that out is like, well, if I bought $1 million from Gemini, an exchange, and then from address A to B, now they know Vinny D'Agostino moved it from A to B, and then from B to C was from me to you. So they'll come to me and go, hey, who'd you move it to on this date? Because we know you did, because it went into your wallet. And then a day later, we saw $1 million go out to this other person. Now, I'm no fucking rat, so I wouldn't say anything, but that's how they would probably wanna that's how we would do that and track that down. The other way they could find that out is if they seized your phone and it was unlocked and unencrypted, they could see your address and your wallet. But that's like your email address right there. What's on your screen right there.
All those numbers, that whole line, that whole code.
Yes. And so when I send you coin, you could give me is that code, or you can show me that QR code, which is basically the code in another way. And I could use my camera and literally hold it up to the screen, scan that code, and then it'll populate in my program and it'll send you the money. But more importantly, so you have your receiving address now. If you go back out and you're going to bounce out to like your settings, it should be on this video too that I'm playing. Let's see.
Where's settings?
You want me to X out of this?
Yeah, you can go back to your home screen for the app, and then for the Android it was like the bottom or the top right. It had a little cog, I think. Let me see.
Okay. Oh, I'm in there. Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
I think it's on the top.
It's the little like person profile thing on the top right for me. If you're on iPhone.
And it looks like this now?
Yeah.
Like account limits and all that, wallet ID, all that?
I paused it on my screen. It's what it looks like on the Android. Iso, does that look like what you have?
Similar. I got profile
Mine's
preferences.
Like this. Is this what yours looks like?
Yeah, can you scroll down? Is there a bunch of stuff? Yeah, now I see it. Yeah, that should be mine. It says settings at the top.
Settings at the top, like with a gray bar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's settings for iPhone, yeah.
So you're going to want to enable a couple of things. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to have you enable all the security features. But for those listening and watching, you're going to want to enable two-factor. That just means that when someone gets into the app or tries to send money, they need to verify through another way. And that's just good for any of your accounts. I mean, Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a couple other features in there you can enable. The most important one is, do you see where it says like secret recovery phrase or seed phrase or mnemonic? Do you see anything like that?
Backup phrase?
There you go. Yeah. Don't show that on the podcast. Don't raise up to the camera because
it says unconfirmed on it.
Yeah.
Unconfirmed?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah,
click on it.
Okay.
Now, I'm playing a video for those watching at home, and for you pricks out there, I don't have any coin in this wallet, so I know I'm about to show you my seed phrase. Go ahead and try to steal. There's nothing in there. But, okay, yeah, you can see in my video, two-step verification, enable screenshots, block Tor requests. For those at home, if you're using this wallet, definitely enable two-factor and also block Tor requests. I'll explain another time.
What's two-factor? The two-step thing?
Yeah, the two-step. So basically, if you try to send coin out from that wallet, it's going to need a second code, which I do for anything I have where I can send money out of. It's called a hot wallet. Anything that's on the internet that holds your coin, you got to have that kind of security because you don't want someone to pick up your phone when you're at a club one day and they're like, oh, Paul's on stage. I'm going to go fucking drain his bank account or drain his Bitcoin wallet.
It's not letting me click over on the two-step.
Yeah, we'll do that later. I'll tell you, that's probably another thing that needs to be done within the settings to enable it. But you got the secret private key recovery. Do you see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm on now.
Okay, so you guys probably got a similar warning on your screen that I have on the video right here, right? A bunch of So what this is telling you is that what part of the brilliance of how you can manage your Bitcoin is you don't actually Bitcoin doesn't really exist anywhere. When you put it on your phone, the only thing your phone is memorizing is that public address that you guys just found out, that little QR code with that number, and it matches it with an equally complicated password that you could never memorize. And those two things together unlock the Bitcoin. But realizing that nobody would want to remember that password, and how would you ever, even if you wrote it down,
yeah.
What they implemented was what's called a seed phrase mnemonic. And what it is instead of memorizing the password, you can write down or memorize 12 random words that they give you that if you put into any computer anywhere in the world can reverse and figure out your password for you. So think about that. You could know 12 words in your mind that you could be sent to prison. You could be in another country. And as long as you memorize those 12 words in that order, and you technically only need to memorize the first 4 letters of each word, which is even cooler, you can go in front of a computer and say, recover my Bitcoin, and a program will say, enter your seed phrase. And from your brain, you're like, cat, shoe, whatever it is, and then it'll go, boop, here's your Bitcoin back, and you have access to your Bitcoin now.
That's crazy.
It's insane, right?
So I could do 12 names.
No, they're going to give you the words. They're going to give you the words.
Oh, okay.
Because it's out of a choice of 2,048 words that this program knows to use. That
what?
2,048 is the number that means it's impossible for someone to guess a combination of words and unlock your Bitcoin. Like you could sit there all day and guess 12 words in those out of that list of 248, and you'll never guess the correct order. It's got to be in a correct order that unlocks anyone's Bitcoin. So that's why we talk about like people who, if you have Bitcoin and the government says to you, hey, we have a search warrant, we want your Bitcoin, and the only place it could exist is in your fucking brain. There could be 12 words that you memorize, and there's nothing the government can do to compel you to turn those 12 words over, and there's nothing they can do to force their way into your Bitcoin account. This is the first time in history. If you had a box of gold in your house, you had a box of cash in your house, you buried it in the yard, they can get to it. They can find ways to get to that and seize it. And you can't build a lock big enough to keep the government, to keep criminals. You can't build anything big enough or strong enough to keep them out. But with this simple phrase, you can move $8 million worth of Bitcoin to that, memorize that thing. Maybe you have it written down, keep it in a safe place outside of your head, so that if you end up getting hit with a bat in the back of the head while walking down the street in the city, that someone else could recover it. But that's how you can get back into it. So it's going to take you through those 12 words on your screen. Write them down. Keep it off camera. Write those down.
Okay.
And then tell me when you're done, and put it. How I recommend people hold that is put that in a safe. Put that in a lockbox. Put that in a ceiling tile. Whatever you think is where you need it to be. And then if you have serious coin on that, and let's say you start putting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on it, you're going to want to find somebody on the planet, preferably not your wife, that you can give that free space to.
So wait, wait a minute. So right now, when I hit this, they're going to give me the 12 words, and I need to write them down in order.
Exactly. And you can always go back to this. So if you fuck it up, don't feel pressure, because I know you're on the show, but write it down. But you can go back to this as many times as you want.
Dude, this is wild. This is wild shit, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder why the government doesn't like this.
Yeah, believe me, when I was at the FBI, they were like, what the fuck are we going to do if people start using this? And it's part of the reason I fell in love with it was I started looking into it. I'm like, man, it's like, it's all the things I want. I don't want the government in 99% of the things in my life, and money being probably near the top of the list.
Now, does any app make you do these?
Yeah, this is why it gets so confusing, because people get intimidated, because that annoying process you have to register really has nothing to do with Bitcoin. That's the company that runs the app. I can, we'll have later conversations where I can direct you to probably other apps and other ways for you to do this, where you don't have to register shit. Like you'll just have a program that you can run, and it'll be much easier. But yes, you can go to any. This is universal. Those 12 words aren't like specific to this wallet. Those 12 words are specific to Bitcoin, which means anyone, any place, anywhere in the world will accept those 12 words. And it knows that if you put them in the right order, a program's going to reverse it, and you're going to get. And I've done it. I've lost access to accounts that had tremendous amount of Bitcoin in them, and I had to resort to that mnemonic seed. And like my hand was fucking shaking. I'm like, oh my God, this is my last fallback. Because you could keep the same Bitcoin on multiple phones. You could use it. But imagine there's a fire in your house and all your phones are burned. And now you're down to this mnemonic seed that you hid in your grandmother's house, that you taped to the bottom of her silverware drawer. And now you have $1 million, and it's down to whether these 12 words actually work or not.
Dude, I picture like somebody with a gun to my head going, last chance.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So it's asking me now to put them in certain order, like.
Yeah, it wants you to verify. So it's going to ask you, okay, you just wrote them down. Give me the 3rd word, the 8th word, and the 12th word, and then you got to do it just to show the program you actually did it.
All right, I'm good. I'm confirmed.
Okay, mine says unconfirmed, but hold on. Mine says verified now, but the backup phrase still says unconfirmed.
That's weird. You might have to do it again. It's okay. You could do it later. It's something I recommend. I
could copy it to my clipboard. It says too.
Yeah, just be careful, because I hate moving that phrase around my phone and shit. Like, I've done it where I won't even print it because I'm afraid to send it to my wireless printer in my house. I'm like, fuck that. There's just too much riding on it, I mean, there's nothing on your wallet now, so it's not the end of the world. You move it to your clipboard. But I'll talk to you guys about cold storage another day, which means there's a certain amount of coin you'll keep on your phone to have. But then there's like your savings account, which is on a separate place that doesn't touch the fucking internet. And that's really, really important. That's another conversation. But for now, it's fine that you keep this on your phone. I do have a friend that messed this process up and didn't save the mnemonic seed and dropped his Verizon phone before he thought about it, went to Verizon, turned his phone in, got his phone back, called me a month later and said, hey, Vin, I was just thinking, I broke my phone a month ago and I realized I didn't move my Bitcoin. Can I get it back? And I was like, no, it's gone. And it was like 3 Bitcoin.
Oh,
Gone forever. I was like, did you back up the mnemonic seed? No, I
Dude,
forgot.
I'm putting the words in that it gave me, and it says it's not matching. That's what's happening. So I got to do this again here.
Yeah, we can do it again. Don't let it hold you up. Don't let it hold you up. It's not going to mess up the next part of this. You could do that afterwards. It just means you wrote it down because I was yapping. You probably got distracted and wrote down the wrong part.
Oh no! Now it says confirmed.
Oh, there you go.
All right, good.
But yeah, so anecdotally, it there was, like I said, my friend who lost significant Bitcoin, and it was worth a fraction, obviously then, but now if you tallied it up, it was like $150,000 worth of Bitcoin that he lost on his phone because he didn't back up the seed or put it on like a thumb drive and put it in a safe, and it was just rolling around on his phone. The phone broke one day, went to Verizon, turned the phone in, and it's gone. And it's not like the guy at Verizon got it because A, he probably didn't know what the fuck, this was years ago, he didn't know what Bitcoin was, but B, I'm sure he had some 2FA around it or they wiped the phone. It's just that Bitcoin's gone forever. So now, Paul, you have, if you go into that app now and you have your, go back to your receiving address.
Okay. So I'll get out of settings, home, receive.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Now it's going to show that QR code, right?
What should it,
Does it show you their Bitcoin address and your,
wait, so I went back to receive crypto now.
Okay. And then you select Bitcoin, private wallet.
And then now I'm at this. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if the resolution is going to be good enough, but let's try. You're going to hold that up. And now from my phone here, I'm going to go into my little.
And by the way, since we're doing this, don't worry about 2 o'clock. If this goes another 10 minutes, I'm okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's right. Shit. We're running.
I mean, I'm in the middle. No, dude, I'm in the middle of getting this shit, and you're scaring me with how things could get fucked. I'm staying here. Yeah, no, the people will fucking wait till I get this right. Right. I'm not fucking up my first Bitcoin transaction.
No, yeah, you
For real.
Gotta go. Yeah, fuck that.
So hold your QR code up to the camera. That's your receiving address, right?
This.
Yep. Okay. Now hold it still. All right. Move it a little bit closer, as close as you can to your camera. I'm not sure if this is going to work because of the camera. Oh, okay. So now how cool is this?
Did that work?
So I just scanned your address, right?
Yeah.
And I know because I could tell you, like, obviously I can't read your address, but my lights. Does it start with BC1Q4X?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, obviously I couldn't read that. That's because the QR code contained that, just like a menu, a post-COVID restaurant experience.
Dude, that's wild.
And so we could do that in person, and most people do that in person, but we could do it over the internet too. You could copy and paste that address. So now I'm going to send you Bitcoin from this phone to your thing, and we're going to see how quickly it takes it to register on your app.
Do I stay right here?
Yeah, you don't have to, but you could. If you want to pretend like you're not even looking at it and you're walking down the street and then like, oh, what is this going to feel like? So let's see. I'm going to send you $1,030 in Bitcoin. Nope, I almost just sent you 10,000.
That's fine.
I don't like you that much. Let's send it back. $1,030, which by the way is just enough for you to get a portable hot tub.
And by the way, you have a Venmo that I could give you there, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to send that to you. 1,030. Continue. 1,030. They will receive. This is a different app, so I'm just verifying. You always want to look at your receiving address, make sure everything's good. It's coming from my personal. Okay. Slide to send. Now it's sending this out to all the Bitcoiners in the world that are running a software, which is free. I run it from my house, which is part of what I like. I'm my own bank. I run this software cheap and easy you just download it and you let it run. And
Really?
my computer has a copy of the ledger. What we all agree is the actual amounts of money that everybody owns. And because I run that, I'm helping to protect the network, because if somebody decides to say, oh no, that guy over there, he doesn't own 1,000 Bitcoin, he only owns 3 Bitcoin. Well, then he sends that out and the rest of the world goes bullshit, because we all have a copy of the same ledger. It's called a consensus, which is one of the benefits of it, because if someone tries to attack the network and try to create a fraudulent blockchain and say, oh, I own more money, this and that, they have to overcome the entire world that's running Bitcoin, which is now an impossibility. Financially, practically, it's just not possible to do. So it's sending it out, and right now some computer's going, all right, this clown with my address says he's got $1,000 he's trying to send to this other clown. Is it legit? And these computers are doing all the math now to make sure that every piece of that Bitcoin I'm sending you is legitimate. No counterfeit. It's going to go back to where it first created. Imagine if I gave you $10, and every time you took $10 from me, you go, hang on a second, you could scan the serial number, and up on your phone, a list of from the time it came from the treasury to the time it landed in your hand came up to know, yeah, this is legit. No interruption. Wow. That's what Bitcoin does that cash can't do, is it verifies it to that level of precision. So do you see something on your phone yet?
I don't. Hold on. No, I don't yet.
Let's see. Let me just make sure to.
So you can't counterfeit Bitcoin then?
It's possible to counterfeit a Bitcoin. The Chinese have counterfeit this like toilet paper. That's another reason why digital money is the future, is because you can't run into. We've all run across counterfeit bills in our lifetime.
Did I X out of this?
You can close that. Yeah, go back to your home screen. You should see it by now. It's
That's
usually pretty much instantaneous, depending on the traffic on the network.
All right, I'm gonna go to my home activity.
So on that receive crypto, this, like, I can just scroll. These are all different, like, Bitcoins?
Different coins. So there's Ethereum in there, and Litecoin and Dogecoin.
It's still going.
Yeah, there's 10,000.
That's crazy.
It's part of the problem in the community, is there's so many ripoffs of Bitcoin that they try to be Bitcoin and better, and there is no substitute for it. Ethereum is the one that arguably has another use case, but the rest of them are just shittier versions of Bitcoin that are less secure.
All right, now it says that there's $1,029 in there.
Boom, there you go. Just like that. Now, it didn't go through a bank. It didn't go through anybody. If your politics and my politics or your sexual orientation was something that, for whatever reason, the government had a problem with, there's nothing they could have done to stop that, which is not the case for credit cards, not the case for even cash. I mean, historically, the government has said, we're no longer, I think it was India, we're no longer taking 100 rupee bills anymore. They're no longer valid. They can't do that with Bitcoin.
So now let me ask you a question now. So now this is the last thing we'll get into. I want to figure this out. This is my first Bitcoin ever. And I think it's really helpful to obviously the people listening. But so after me and you did the podcast, Vin,
yep.
Remember Bitcoin had that big dip.
Yeah.
And I remember somebody going, hey, dude, I was going to buy. Should I hold off? I see a dip. And I'm like, no, now you should buy. Like now you
exactly.
should. Now you should buy. So let's just say tonight, let's say tomorrow we wake up in the morning. Okay. All three of us, we wake up in the morning. Well, hopefully we wake up in the morning and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, did you see Bitcoin? Did you see what happened with Bitcoin? And I go, and Bitcoin goes from like 43,000 to $100,000 overnight. Let's just say, does that show up here?
Yes. So what will never change is your amount of Bitcoin. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. And eventually, like 20 years from now, the dollar's not even going to be a thing. Believe me, it's just going to be Bitcoin. But one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, meaning you have 0.022 that I just sent you?
How do I know that? How would I know?
Look where it says that you have that money. Click on that. You should see 0.02279, something like that.
Yeah. 0.2279. Oh, yeah.
That's how much Bitcoin you have. You don't have one, obviously, because if you had one, it'd be 45,000. You only own 0.022. That number will never change. The value with it will change. So if it goes up to 100,000 tomorrow, whatever 0.022 of 100,000 is what your balance will be. Just like
and it'll automatically just go up in that.
Oh yeah, it'll do that math for you based on what the market value is, and you could also just Google what's the price of Bitcoin. You can Google convert Bitcoin to USD and type in 0.022, and it'll show you on the spot what your Bitcoin is worth. What I tell people is that Bitcoin is volatile because it's in its infancy, but when you've seen it like me, when I got interested in it, it was less than $10 a coin to go to 45,000. These sort of crashes that happen are the crashes that were the wet dream back in 2012. Like one day people used to joke, one day we're going to be complaining when Bitcoin crashes to 40,000. People are like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. It is. That's where we're at right now. 10 years from now, people are going to say, oh, it fucking crashed to 250,000. I'm so bummed. You're going to be like 250,000. So, this is what I talk to Kenny about and others is, I don't fucking sell Bitcoin. I don't make any money on it. I believe in it. I understand it more than probably, the vast majority of the population does. So I try to get people that I care about into it because I believe it's the future. But I tell people straight out, if you're going to buy Bitcoin with the hopes of selling it in like 2-3 months and making money, you might, or you could lose half your money. It's all about the timing. The Bitcoin I buy, and what I tell people, it's the dollar cost average. Set up an auto buy with an exchange like Gemini or Coinbase, and every week, whatever you're comfortable with, $10, $100, $1,000, have an auto purchase and let it just buy little bits of it over time. And it's going to go up and it's going to go down. And every time it's down, your wife's going to yell at you and call you a fucking loser. And every time it's up, it's going to say, let's look at our Bitcoin balance. Because that's my experience with my wife. She only gives a shit about it when it's up, when I know she's planning her fucking updating her divorce diary. Oh, how much Bitcoin do we have? I'm like, oh, now you can't. And then when it's down, she's like, how much are we under? I'm like, no, this is Bitcoin's a relationship. You ride the ups and you ride the downs of it. And like most relationships, if you don't bail when things are bad, there's usually a big reward for that in the end. And so think on like a 2-year horizon. Think on like a 2-year, 3-year horizon. There's something called a halving event that happens every 4 years. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin protocol cuts the amount of Bitcoin that can be rewarded to people by half. It's complicated to explain, but the bottom line is the production gets cut in half every 4 years. When that happens, every 4 years on the mark, there's a huge surge in price because the scarcity's gone up. People go, oh my God, there's going to be even less Bitcoin available. Right now, about 19 million of the 21 million Bitcoin have already been distributed, right? In the first 13 years, 19 million are gone. They're out there. But to hit 21 million is going to take us to the year 2140. That's how much the faucet gets turned down over time.
21. So 18 years? 19 years?
No, 2140. We'll be dead.
Oh, 2140.
2140.
Yeah.
Man.
2140
Wow.
when the last Bitcoin will be issued.
So there's already been 19 million out of the 26?
21.
So for another 100-something years, that's
That's crazy.
That's by design. And Satoshi, the guy who created Bitcoin, he predicted all of this. I was telling Bob Kelly of this, and I actually told Bob Kelly this at brokerage one night before a show, and I tried to get him into Bitcoin mining. He would have been a millionaire. Instead, he was interested in his fucking earphones. I was like, Bob, put the earphones down. I'm talking about making money from your garage. And he's like, dude, some of these earphones are wireless. So the guy who created Bitcoin, I joke kind of tongue in cheek that I think he was a time traveler. I think he was a guy who knows where the world was headed, and there's going to be this monstrous financial collapse because the government keeps printing money and there's nothing to back it up anymore. And I think he went back in time and gave the world this program and disappeared because the guy who created Bitcoin, no one knows who he is. Think about that. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
Are you serious?
What? Nobody.
There's one guy in Australia who claims to be him, but has yet to be able to prove. It's very easy to prove. He's a scam artist. There's no
Interesting.
So there's no association with this man.
No family.
Which we know his wallet because he was the creator. When he created it, he was making Bitcoin to test it, and he would be one of the richest men on the planet right now if he came forward. He's sitting on billions and billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and he doesn't come forward.
Wow.
Why doesn't he come forward? Because he's a fucking time traveler. because his gift to humanity was this, and he knew that wasn't his.
Dude, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I know we're getting heavy now, but some of those time traveling things on like that people have, like some people have like shown up and seen, it's a couple of them are hard to debunk.
Yes. And when you go into how digital money's been around for decades, but there's been problems that he solved, the double spend, there's digital money's been around, but it's always been bullshit because it's like copying files. How do you prevent someone from copying this? He solved some ridiculously complicated problems almost on his own. He had a few people helping him, and then he disappeared off the planet, and he's worth almost as much as probably Elon Musk is, and will be worth way more than anyone on the planet in 10 years. And this is the beauty of it. You know what happens? Like you look at what's happened to Rogan and everybody else, and I learned this lesson probably about 20 years ago when I started seeing people that I believed were stand-up people getting destroyed by the media and by political hit jobs, that I realized I used to think that people, if you were a good person, that you were immune to that. I used to believe that, and I don't believe that anymore. The beauty about not knowing who the owner or the creator, rather not the owner, there's no owner, the creator of Bitcoin is, they can't go after him for his politics. He could fight pit bulls. He could be a cockfighter. He could be not woke. He could be a Republican. You don't know who he is, which means you can't go after
You can't do anything to him. It's almost like he's a ghost.
He's a fucking ghost, and it's brilliant because I always write this on Twitter once in a while. His greatest gift next to Bitcoin itself, creating Bitcoin, was disappearing. And I'm like, I love you, and if you're still alive out there reading this, thank you, but don't ever come back, because I don't want to fucking find out you're a registered Republican, because that's going to be the end of it. They're going to be like, Satoshi Nakamoto contributed to the Trump campaign, and that's going to be the end of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The end of fucking Bitcoin as we know it.
What's Bitcoin projections? What are projections like? Are any projections realistic? Like so I guess my question is, when it was, let's say, Vinny, when it was 19,000, right? When it was 19,000 or 16,000 or 14,000, were they saying, hey, by this year it will be 50, by this year it will be 100, by this year, is there that, or is it just a crapshoot?
No, there is. There's plenty of people, and because it's a new animal, it's really hard to predict. There's a guy who I follow on Twitter, Plan B. He kind of did this analysis and has his stock to flow, essentially saying what his predictions are, and it's very, very, very much inaccurate. Now, last year it kind of fell off, and it didn't hit the mark. It was supposed to hit around 100,000 last year, and I honestly think it would have. But we're also dealing with incredibly crazy times. Like, how do you factor COVID into a price prediction for something like Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Worth more can make it more less. We're kind of in remarkable times. It'd be like if a war broke out, that could artificially. But the bottom line is, anyone who studies Bitcoin and understands it loves it like I do. Only people I know who don't like it are the people who don't know what it is or how it works. And I go, of course you don't like it, because I didn't like it before I invested the time, because it sounds like a fucking Ponzi scheme.
And also people that don't like it are probably people that just can't afford to get invested in it.
Well, and when I tell people this, is the other big problem with Bitcoin is it's a victim of its own success. Everyone says, oh, Bitcoin costs $45,000. Each Bitcoin is made of 100 million Satoshis, they're called, sats. You might see people say stacking sats, right? The expression. You can buy like 100,000 sats for like $10. And in the future, the standard isn't going to be Bitcoin. People aren't going to talk about Bitcoin because there's only going to be a handful of people on the planet that own one. If people are going to say sats, how many sats do you have? And once it reaches $1 per Satoshi, then people are going to say, oh, I have 1 million sats. That means you have like 1 million, what would be $1 million? But no one's going to be talking about, a whole Bitcoins. It's going to hit $1 million in our lifetime. I have no doubt about that. It'll hit $1 million in our lifetime.
Per coin,
which means if there's 100 million Satoshis per coin, do the division. That means it's going to be, each Satoshi might be like close to $1, whatever the hell it is. Not $1, but it'll be worth a lot more. So what I tell people is, don't get scared of getting in because you think you missed it. That's the wicked part about Bitcoin. I thought I missed it at $10. I swear, at $10, I was sitting in my squad area at the bureau, and we were talking about mining Bitcoin because we had all these powerful computers, and we were like, yeah, we should have done that when it was a fucking $1.
We missed it. And then when it hit $100, I was like, I'm an idiot. It 10x. And then at $120, I started mining Bitcoin from my garage because I was like, oh, I see the pattern here. The pattern is you always think you miss it. And
Right.
now $45,000, everyone goes, I missed it. But if Bitcoin hits 250,000, 300,000, you're going to want to slit your goddamn throat that you didn't get involved in it. And that's what keeps people out of it is they feel like they missed it and they get sour grapes on it. And
Yeah.
then they don't want it to succeed because they missed out on it.
Right.
Whereas I say, let it be humble. A lot of the Bitcoin that I mined, I sold when I bought my house. And I think about that and I lose sleep over it some nights because I'm like, that was so stupid of me. And I made money on it. It went up tremendously, right? I was making about, I think it was like $17,000 a day in my garage mining Bitcoin. Not at the value of the day. I was making $10 a day back in 2013. But if you take that out to when it hit whatever, 50,000, let's say, I reversed the math on what I was making $17,000 a day in my garage. That now I sold it for a lot less. A lot of that Bitcoin I sold for a lot less. I still made a lot of money, but I sold it for a lot less. I won't make that mistake again. And so people talk about having diamond hands. When you see that with Bitcoin, diamond hands mean you've been humbled probably at some point and you sold Bitcoin or lost it or spent it and realized now that was stupid. And so people like me, we just collect it and we don't like to spend it for anything. And because we believe that it's going to be worth it, it's going to be the standard 10 years from now. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's where we're going. You're talking about 13 years, it went from $0 to $45,000 a coin in 13 years.
How do you get the money? How do you get money from it?
So if let's say you want to use this for something now, there's a couple of things you could do, but very easily go on Gemini, go on Coinbase. You create an account. It gives you a receiving address like the one on your phone. You hold your phone up to your screen. It beeps. You enter in, send on my wallet. It moves however much you want back to Gemini. And then you tell Gemini, please put this in I want to sell this. Put it in my bank account. And they put the cash right into your bank account. And now you got cash. Got it. Okay. That's awesome. Dude. It's easy. But
fantastic.
It's a lot. And I know everyone's got to go, but it's so hopefully plants a seed for you guys and for the other people listening to start, thinking about it. There's probably not a day that goes by that I don't learn something about Bitcoin, which is the other fascination for me, because it's so complicated that like you can go down rabbit holes left and right. But the fundamentals of it, I think we covered a lot of that on the show, and the censorship resistant, the fact that you can send it to anyone, no one can stop you, the fact that you can remember a seed phrase and literally delete that app off your phone and just memorize those words or have them written out on a piece of paper and know that 10 years from now you can go to any computer and plug that in and get your Bitcoin. Those are the things I want people to understand why it's important and why it is so different than PayPal or Venmo, or any of those other places where you're at their mercy. They can lock you out of your account tomorrow. Venmo can lock you out of your account tomorrow. Chase can lock you out of your account tomorrow, and your money is frozen. It's as good as gone. They can't do that with Bitcoin.
I love that.
And the thing with the skeptics, right? Like the last question I have, the people that are skeptics going, what is it? It's not even real. It's not even real. And it's like, well, no, it is real because there's a value to it and people are getting money from it. So it is real. So just because it's digital and you can't see it and touch it. Yeah.
Exactly. What does Morpheus tell Neo, right? And this goes back to my belief this is all simulation anyway. When Neo says this isn't real, he's in the room with the chair, with the TV, and he goes, define real. Define real. Oh, something you can touch. We're living in a digital age. My kids will spend their allowance money on fucking camouflage vests for their avatars. They'll spend real money on a suit that they wear in a game that I'm like, go buy something real. They don't know. That's not where we're living anymore.
Dude, look at the podcast world. People come and pay tickets to see me perform or you perform based on a podcast. They're looking at me through their computer and their phone, and then they're seeing me live. That was never the case before.
Never. So it's all changing. So this isn't real. That's the first step to understanding Bitcoin is just because you can touch it doesn't mean it's any more real than everything else we live. Go tell a kid who's getting bullied it's not real because it's on the computer.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's fucking real. Just because it's real doesn't mean it's not real. Those insults hurt. Those campaigns hurt. So I tell people, once I realized this wasn't real, that this was just because everyone else agrees it's real, then that's why Bitcoin's real, because everyone else agrees it's real, except behind this is a bunch of politicians and centralized banks that I don't trust anymore, that I don't trust to do right by me and my family. Behind Bitcoin, Bitcoin's everybody. We all own it. I run a node for my house that says this is what I believe the blockchain is, and everyone else agrees or disagrees with it. That's my vote. I don't have to worry about someone else printing another 40 million Bitcoin when I wake up in the morning and go, oh, what? That was my savings. Like now it's worth half as much because you printed twice. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And so one day we'll look back at the fact that we had government in our money and laugh and go, Jesus, you know, how insane is that we let the government control how much money's printed? And no. And this thing that Satoshi created started out like a garage band. And now we're at the point where we got people saying Bitcoin might be a threat to national security. And I laugh because it was like this snowball that started out as this little joke that when I would talk to banks about this when I was at the bureau, and they would say it's imaginary money, it's not real. People want to go have a bank teller to speak to. People want this, people want that. And I'm like, you're not getting it. You're not seeing the big picture. And now these banks are like, they hated it. Now how many of these banks are in on it? We're going to start selling Bitcoin. Investors, Fidelity just came out last week. Bitcoin in a class of its own compared to every other cryptocurrency, basically saying that Bitcoin is the future of digital currency. Fidelity, they would have laughed at this, 5-10 years ago. So the writing's on the wall. This is the internet. This is when we saw the internet happen in our lifetime. And people like me were like, I want to go to Best Buy and feel a TV and touch a TV. No one's ever going to buy a TV off of. I was so wrong. I was so wrong about that because I haven't been in a Best Buy in 10 years.
Dude, I was wrong too when people were, and you're right about it being the number one, because there's a guy who's like, life is Bitcoin, and he said all the other ones are bullshit. It's just Bitcoin. Bullshit. But I remember when somebody was like, dude, all of our entertainment's going to be on this. And I'm going, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm watching TV tonight. I'm going home and watch. Now I find myself more and more shutting my TV off.
Yep.
Going to lay in bed, and I'll watch an episode on this. I'll see if the Knicks are going to make a trade on this. I'll watch a UFC press conference on this. All these things, whatever it is, and it's like, wow, man, it really did change, dude. It changed.
And when you see enough of that in your lifetime, the wisdom comes from recognizing that and going, yeah, I was wrong. And then why was I wrong? And they're like, it's like that clip I love to show people when Bill Gates went on Letterman in the 90s. And, Bill Gates, richest guy in the world at the time, and Letterman's like, what is this internet? And he's like, it's a network of computers. And he's like, so what can you do on it? And he's like, well, you can listen to a ball game. And he goes, haven't you ever heard of a radio? And the whole crowd laughs at Bill Gates because he's a fucking idiot, right? And he's like, well, you can watch a movie. And he goes, haven't you ever heard of HBO or whatever he says? And everybody laughs. And if you look at it now through what you know about the internet, and you look at that clip and you're like, he knows, he gets it. Bill Gates gets it. The crowd and everyone laughing at him doesn't understand that, yes, the internet in the beginning sucked. It was videos that were the size of a thumbnail.
Grainy.
It was grainy. It was connected over the modem. But he understood that it was the behind the scenes of the internet, the interconnectivity of the internet, that was the future of everything. And as everything improved, now that fact that you can make a video call around the globe is taken for granted. Back then, it was in its infancy, and Bitcoin right now is still in its infancy. It's still early on. So people are like, but what can you do with it? What the point is the roads have been laid out. The foundation with this white paper has been laid out. What you can build on it is exactly what you can build on the internet.
I think about this, and what about this internet thing? Do you know anything about that?
Sure.
What the hell is that exactly?
Well, it's become a place where people are publishing information.
Right.
So everybody can have their own homepage. Companies are there, the latest information. It's wild what's going on. You can send electronic mail to people. It is the big new thing.
Yeah, but it's easy to criticize something you don't fully understand, which is my position here.
Go ahead.
But I can remember a couple of months ago, there was like a big breakthrough announcement that on the internet or on some computer deal, they were going to broadcast a baseball game. You could listen to a baseball game on your computer. And I just thought to myself, does radio ring a bell? You know what I mean?
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
It's not a huge difference.
What is the difference?
But you can listen to the baseball game whenever you want.
Right.
Too.
Oh, I see. So it's stored in one of your memory deals,
Exactly.
and then you can come
That's
back
the
a year
RAM
later.
thing you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Do tape recorders ring a bell? Yeah, I just don't know. What can you, just knowing me, the little you know me now, what am I missing here? What do I need?
Well, if you want to learn about the latest cigars or auto racing statistics.
Well, you know, I've got that covered. I subscribe to 2 British magazines devoted entirely to motorsports, and I call the Quaker State Speed Line about 2 times a half hour. So now, would the computer give me more than I'm getting that way?
Oh, you can find other people who have the same unusual interests you do, and
You mean the troubled loner chat room on the internet?
Which is everything. Yeah. And that's when people don't understand, how the internet changed the world, because in the beginning it sucked. The internet really wasn't that great in the beginning, and now you can't imagine your life without it. And that's
no, dial up and all those noises and everything took forever, and now it's like, with everything. But you want to know why? Because Elon Musk and Bill Gates are time travelers.
That is very possible. It's very possible. Those fucking guys, I know. It's possible, but they should.
Well, dude, thank you so much, and please send me your Venmo thing so I could send you that. And nice to meet you, buddy. I hope tell Shuli I said what's up, and yeah, man, we should do in like a few months. We should do a Bitcoin update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would love that.
See what it's at, and then we'll talk a little bit more about, as you thinking about what it is. Any questions you guys have, we'll talk more about it.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thank you so much. This was really awesome. I'm glad I got my first Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's it. You popped your cherry.
All right. Later, man.